The cosmic dance Bagans. Imagine a grand ballroom where to dancers science and religion have been twirling around each other for centuries. Sometimes they step on each other's toes, other times they glide in perfect harmony. Their relationship is complex, filled with passion, tension, and unexpected moments of grace. This essay delves into their intricate dance, tracing their steps from ancient times to the speculative rhythms of the future. The past, from harmony to discord, the early waltz. In ancient civilizations, the lines between science and religion were often blurred. Priests and scholars were one and the same, seeking to understand the cosmos through both spiritual insight and empirical observation. The Egyptians, Babylonians, and Greeks all intertwined their religious beliefs with their understanding of the natural world. For instance, Pythagoras, the ancient Greek philosopher, believed that numbers were the ultimate reality and that the cosmos was governed by mathematical principles. His religious views were deeply connected to his scientific inquiries, showcasing an early example of the fusion between faith and reason. The medieval minuet. During the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church was the primary institution preserving and advancing knowledge in Europe. Monasteries became centers of learning, where monks meticulously copied ancient texts and made original contributions to science. Figures like Hildegard of Bingen, a Benedictine abbess, made significant strides in natural history, medicine, and music theory, all within a religious framework. However, this period also saw tensions arise. The Church's authority was challenged by emerging scientific ideas, leading to conflicts such as the trial of Galileo Galilei. Galileo's support for the heliocentric model of the solar system contradicted the Church's geocentric teachings, resulting in his infamous trial and house arrest. The Enlightenment and the Great Divide. The Enlightenment era brought a shift in thinking. Thinkers like Isaac Newton, who saw the universe as a grand machine created by God, attempted to reconcile science and religion. However, as scientific discoveries advanced, the need for a divine explanation seemed less necessary, leading to a growing divide between the two realms. Philosophers like David Hume and Immanuel Kant questioned traditional religious doctrines, advocating for reason and empirical evidence as the primary sources of knowledge. This period marked the beginning of the modern conflict between science and religion. The present coexistence and conflict, the age of secularism. In the contemporary world, science and religion often occupy separate spheres. Science explains the how of the universe, while religion addresses the why. This division has allowed for coexistence, but not without friction. The theory of evolution, proposed by Charles Darwin, remains a contentious issue. While the scientific community widely accepts evolution as the explanation for the diversity of life, many religious groups reject it, adhering to creationist beliefs. This conflict is particularly evident in educational debates, where the teaching of evolution in schools is often challenged by proponents of intelligent design. The rise of New Atheism. The 21st century witnessed the rise of New Atheism, with figures like Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, and Christopher Hitchens advocating for a secular worldview and criticizing religious beliefs. Their works, such as Dawkins' The God Delusion, argue that religion is not only false but also harmful to society. While these arguments have gained popularity, they have also sparked backlash. Many religious individuals and groups feel that their beliefs are being unfairly attacked, leading to a renewed emphasis on interfaith dialogue and the search for common ground. Science and spirituality. Interestingly, while traditional religious adherence has declined in many parts of the world, interest in spirituality remains strong. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, and yoga have gained popularity, often divorced from their religious origins. This trend reflects a desire for personal meaning and connection, even in an increasingly secular society. Moreover, some scientists, such as Albert Einstein, have expressed spiritual views that transcend traditional religious boundaries. Einstein's concept of cosmic religion emphasized awe and wonder at the universe, suggesting that science and spirituality can coexist in a meaningful way. The future, speculations and possibilities, artificial intelligence and the new gods. As we look to the future, the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence (AI) presents new challenges and opportunities for the relationship between science and religion. Some tech leaders have begun to use religious language to describe AI, likening its potential to that of a god. Geoffrey Hinton, known as the godfather of AI, has raised concerns about the existential risks of AI, while others like Rakers envision a transhumanist future where humans merge with machines. This shift reflects a broader trend of technological advancements being framed in spiritual terms. The development of AI is increasingly seen not just as a scientific endeavor but as a quest for transcendence, raising questions about the nature of consciousness and the divine. To companions on a cosmic journey, imagine the universe as a massive, glittering ballroom. On one side, you have science decked out in a suit of logic and empirical rigor, tapping its foot to the rhythm of evidence and observation. On the other, religion, flowing in a robe of mystery, intuition, and moral guidance, spinning gracefully to the tune of faith and hope. They've been dancing together for millennia, sometimes stepping on each other's toes, sometimes waltzing in perfect synchrony. Their relationship is complex, often contentious, but also surprisingly intertwined. This essay traces their steps through history, examines the modern choreography, and speculates on the future of this fascinating cosmic dance, all while sprinkling in humor and a few illustrative anecdotes. The past, when science and religion wore the same shoes, the origins of curiosity and belief. Long before the term science was even coined, humans sought to understand their environment, the stars above, and the mysteries of life and death. Religion often served as the interpretive lens. Myths, rituals, and divine explanations were humanity's first attempts to make sense of the unknown. For example, the ancient Egyptians observed the annual flooding of the Nile with awe and reverence, attributing it to the favor of gods like Hapi. Yet, these same observations laid the groundwork for early agricultural calendars, a fusion of spiritual insight and empirical necessity. You could say the first scientist priest was someone noting, the river rises around the same time every year. Maybe we should plant our wheat then and sacrifice a goat just in case. Similarly, the Babylonians, Assyrians, and early Mesopotamian civilizations meticulously recorded celestial movements. While their scribes often linked planetary motion to omens and divine will, they also developed sophisticated mathematical systems for predicting eclipses, essentially proto-astronomy but with more dramatic flair. The moon is angry. The wheat may suffer. Better build an extra ziggurat might have been an early combination of religion and observational science. Ancient philosophers. Bridging the gap, the Greeks, particularly in the 6th to 4th centuries BCE, began to separate natural explanation from supernatural reasoning, though never entirely. Philosophers like Thales, Pythagoras, and Aristotle sought rational explanations for natural phenomena while often maintaining a spiritual or metaphysical framework. Pythagoras, for instance, famously proclaimed that all things are numbers. While this sounds like the opening line of a math-themed sci-fi series, he truly believed that numerical relationships underpinned the cosmos. At the same time, he was deeply religious, seeing numbers as divine harmony. Imagine him lecturing, "Behold, the universe is a symphony of integers." And also, worship your local deities for good measure. Aristotle introduced systematic observation and classification. He studied animals, plants, and the heavens, attempting to derive patterns and causes. Yet, he still invoked metaphysical prime movers, essentially gods, as the ultimate explanation behind existence. In other words, Aristotle was a scientist who occasionally said, "We've figured a lot, but maybe God had a hand in it." Just to be safe. Medieval interlude, monks, manuscripts, and mirrors. Fast forward to the European Middle Ages. Contrary to popular myth, science did not vanish under the shadow of religion. Monasteries preserved knowledge, copied ancient manuscripts, and even conducted early experiments. Monks measured the heavens, studied medicinal herbs, and wrote encyclopedias combining theology with natural philosophy. Hildegard of Bingen, a 12th century abbess, was an extraordinary polymath. She wrote on medicine, botany, music, and cosmology, all framed within a religious worldview. Hildegard exemplified the medieval scholar-priest model, a spiritual leader advancing empirical knowledge, though she might occasionally blame a disease outbreak on evil spirits rather than germs. The tension arose when empirical findings clashed with dogma. The trial of Galileo Galilei in 1633 is the archetype. Galileo's telescopic observations supported the heliocentric model proposed by Copernicus, challenging the Church's geocentric teaching. While Galileo reportedly quipped under his breath, "E per se muove and yet it moves," he spent the remainder of his life under house arrest. This episode became a symbol of science clashing with institutional religion, though modern historians remind us the reality was more nuanced. Galileo was also a political irritant, and many within the Church supported his work quietly. The Enlightenment, reason takes the lead. The 17th and 18th centuries ushered in the Age of Enlightenment, a period that elevated reason, empirical evidence, and human intellect as guiding principles. Thinkers like Isaac Newton, René Descartes, and Francis Bacon made massive strides in physics, mathematics, and philosophy. Newton, for example, was a devout Christian who saw God as the grand clockmaker of the universe. He famously said that studying the natural world revealed the divine order. To paraphrase, look at gravity, clearly God's hand at work. Though I admit I did most of the calculations myself. Newton's work exemplifies an early synthesis, rigorous science motivated by spiritual reverence. However, the Enlightenment also sowed seeds of skepticism. Philosophers like David Hume questioned miracles and religious dogma, arguing that faith alone could not withstand rational scrutiny. The tension between faith and evidence began to widen, setting the stage for modern debates. Evolution, the great debate begins. The 19th century saw one of the most famous intersections of science and religion, Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection. Published in On the Origin of Species 1859, Darwin proposed that life evolved over millions of years through gradual variation and survival of the fittest. For many religious communities, Darwin's ideas were revolutionary and threatening. If species evolved naturally, what role did divine creation play? Some interpreted evolution as evidence against God, while others, including certain clergy, attempted to reconcile evolution with faith, suggesting that natural processes were instruments of divine design. This period exemplifies an enduring pattern. Scientific discoveries often provoke theological reflection, reinterpretation, or, at times, outright conflict. Humor break when science meets faith. Literally, history is full of amusing anecdotes where scientific curiosity collided with religious devotion. In 1746, Immanuel Kant, the philosopher, reportedly said that if he had been alive in Galileo's time, he would have advised him to watch your tongue and your telescope. In Victorian England, some clergymen debated whether dinosaurs were evidence of God's whimsy or proof that he had a sense of humor. Early astronomers sometimes prayed before using their telescopes because they weren't sure if the stars would cooperate otherwise. These examples remind us that the human desire to understand the universe has always been accompanied by reverence, fear, and occasional absurdity. The present coexistence, conflict, and curiosity, the age of secular science. In the modern era, science largely operates independently of religious authority. The scientific method, emphasizing observation, experimentation, and falsifiability, allows discoveries to stand on empirical merit. Yet, religion remains a powerful social and moral force. Many individuals find spiritual meaning in a universe increasingly explained by physics, biology, and chemistry. For example, some cosmologists describe the Big Bang not just as a physical event but as an awe-inspiring moment, evoking a quasi-spiritual wonder akin to religious experience. Evolution and education. Debates over evolution continue in schools worldwide. While the scientific consensus overwhelmingly supports evolution, creationist movements persist in advocating for intelligent design or literal interpretations of religious texts. These debates illustrate a broader question: how should society balance scientific literacy with respect for religious diversity? Spirituality beyond religion. Interestingly, while adherence to organized religion has declined in some regions, interest in personal spirituality has surged. Practices such as meditation, yoga, and mindfulness often draw inspiration from religious traditions but are pursued outside formal religious institutions.
Even scientists sometimes describe experiences that border on the spiritual. Albert Einstein famously spoke of a cosmic religious feeling, a sense of wonder at the order and beauty of the universe. He said, "Science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind," highlighting the potential complementarity of the two domains. Humor in modern contexts. Physicists joke that quantum mechanics is just a polite way of saying God plays dice with the universe. Neuroscientists studying meditation sometimes find themselves pondering whether the brain is a hardware and consciousness a software update from the divine. In the age of social media, memes sometimes serve as modern parables. One viral image shows Newton under an apple tree thinking, gravity, or divine intervention. Why not both? Wow! That was a whirlwind journey through the history of science and religion, from ancient priests counting the stars, to medieval monks mixing faith with early science, all the way to Darwin's famous debates on evolution. If you enjoyed exploring how humans have wrestled with the mysteries of the universe, and maybe laughed at some of them all, creative attempts, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more cosmic insights, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. And here's the fun part. In the next video, we're going to jump into the present and future of this incredible dance, AI, post-religious spirituality, ethical dilemmas, and even some wild predictions about where humanity is headed. So stay tuned, because the story of science and religion is far from over. And trust me, the next part is going to blow your mind. Drop a comment below. What's the funniest or most surprising example of science versus religion you've ever seen? We might feature it in the next video.